Hello, welcome again to this very amazing program, The Moment of Truth with Coach Effiom Effiong. This is one of the programs organized by the Center for Character and Leadership Development, a platform that shows you how to achieve your result using the principles of truth and love. There are no other principles more powerful than truth and love in the entire universe. And so when you apply these principles to any situations or any desire of your life, you will always get results. Today, we want to begin from the concept of lives, the issues of lives. And we're beginning with the concept of belief. I want to look at belief very briefly. It's a very important issue that affects our lives every day. So I want to take time to look at what belief is. What is belief? Do you really believe in something? What do you believe in? What is belief and how does belief help us to achieve results that we are looking for or are the desires of our very heart? Well, first of all, what is belief? What do we call belief? In my own definition, which I have crafted and I believe it is true, belief is when you mentally and emotionally assent to or agree that an idea, an information, a doctrine, or a perspective is true. When you mentally and emotionally assent to, you hear an information and then you assent to it mentally and emotionally. You accept it as being true. So belief is whenever you say yes to a concept, to a suggestion that have been given to you, that have been presented to you. So belief is actually based on suggestions of information, of ideas, of events, of things around you that you are expected to either accept or reject. Belief is anchored on the premise of choice. The best everybody can do to you is to suggest something to you, and the best you can do is either to believe it or to accept it or reject it. So belief is anchored on the concept of choice. It is all about choice. Without choice, belief becomes completely useless. There is no real information in nature that in itself can harm you. It is only when you assent to it, when you agree to it, or in business terms, they call it when you sign to it, that your signature becomes binding on you. Whatever be the content of that information becomes binding on you, immediately you assent to it. And so belief is very crucial. Belief is very important. And why is it so important? Belief is anchored on suggestions, like I said, and it has two principles, two very profound principles on which beliefs lies. And these two principles simply says, number one says, it is done unto you according to your belief. And that's powerful. I mean, the principle says, whatever you say yes to, that thing happens to you, whether good or bad. So it is done unto you according to your belief. The second powerful principle that govern belief is everything is possible if you can only really believe. It couldn't have been better. It is like giving every one of us an open check and say, sign on it any amount that you want to cash. Two powerful principles. So it means that there is a law that awaits your acceptance or rejection. And whatever you say, that law implements it with mathematical accuracy. And then the second law says, if you can really believe, everything is possible to you. Everything is possible for you. So in life, there's really no impossibility, no restraint, no constraint, no limitations of any form, except the one we place on ourselves. Because the principle says everything is possible to the person who really believes. And remember, believe is when you mentally and emotionally agree to an idea or an information or a concept or a doctrine. When you mentally and emotionally say yes to it. Take, for example, we have heard so much, assuming somebody comes to you and suggests to you that you are rich. And then you say, looking at my physical situation, how could you say I am rich? And then what would you say to such a suggestion? It's a suggestion. If somebody tells you you are healthy, for example, it's also a suggestion. If somebody says you are stupid, it's also a suggestion. So what would you say to all the suggestions? And then those two principles also mean that everything that has happened to you must have been based on the things you've believed in. Now, there are 7 different areas to which our beliefs are influenced. We have influencers all around us, and they come in 7 very fundamental areas of our lives. And we have all been influenced over the years. As a matter of fact, I believe that there is no singular human being on planet Earth today that have not been conditioned based on these 7 areas. They are so powerful. And the way you respond to the suggestions, to the informations, to the ideas that comes from these 7 powerful perspectives of our lives determines what you get out of life at the end of the day. They will always be bombarding you all the rest of your life with different forms of suggestions, and those suggestions will compel you sometimes under very severe conditions to either say yes or no. But remember this one advice: you always have a choice to say yes or to say no. And every time you say yes to a suggestion, we call it belief. Every time you say no to a suggestion, we call it unbelief. So it's either you believe or you don't believe. And when you don't believe, we call it unbelief. That means I don't assent to this suggestion, to this information, to this idea. Now, the first issues, the first perspective, the first thing that influences our belief is our experiences, or the experience that come from other people. Maybe something had happened to you once, it has happened to you twice, and maybe it has happened to you 3 times in a row, sequentially. Because of those experiences, you could come to a conclusion that, well, these things will always happen to me. Or maybe it has happened to somebody else, somebody close to you, and because of that person's experiences, you now agree that that thing that has happened to that person could also happen to you. So suggestions could come based on your experiences, could come based on your 5 senses, what your 5 senses are telling you. It could also come from sequential events that has happened to you over the years. And so you've come to a conclusion that these things will always happen. For instance, when there's a change of weather, people, had flu, they have malaria, they have all kinds of issues coming up. So because whenever there's a change of weather, you could conclude that I may likely have flu. And that is based on the experiences, maybe over the years. Whenever there's a change in temperature, change of weather, change of season, this is what happens to me. So you will come to believe that whenever that period comes, you are likely going to have flu. So it becomes your belief. So you've been influenced by the experiences of your life. It could be any other form of experiences, but one thing that influences what we believe is our experiences or something that happened to other people. The second very powerful way we are influenced to believe in a thing is what I call family. Oh, our family have tremendous influence upon us. I remember a story of someone who told me, I think I heard it from Miles Monroe. He said a woman, whenever the husband brings a fish home or she buys a fish, she will cut part of the fish and throw it away. And so one day the husband asked her, why do you always cut this part of the fish away and throw it away? She said, I saw my mother do it that way. And so the husband decided to investigate. So they went to their mom. Luckily, she was still alive. And they asked her and said, Mom, your daughter said you always throw away this part of the fish. Why do you do so? And the mom said, well, I saw my own mother do this the same way. And luckily, the grandmom was also alive. So they all went to the grandmom and said, oh, grandma, your daughter and your granddaughter always cut this part of the fish and throw it away. Why? And they said they saw you do the same thing. Why did you do it? And he said, well, in their own time, there was no refrigerator. And the family was so small that if the husband brings back the fish, they know they can't finish it. So she will cut part of the fish and throw it away. But as at the time the granddaughter was alive, there was a refrigerator. But she didn't know why the mother cut part of the fish and threw it away. Neither did the mother ask the grandmother why she did it. So what she came to believe is when you buy a fish, cut part of it and throw it away. That is one aspect of influences from our family. Maybe your family have told you, in this family, this is what we stand for, this is what we believe, we don't do this, we don't do that, this is what we do, this is what we do. And so because you've seen it repeatedly for more than 20 years of your life, your mom and dad have consistently been telling you that thing over and over again, and you've not taken time to test it, whether it is true or not, you've come to believe that that thing is true. So our family, whether nuclear family, extended family, they have tremendous influence upon our lives, and we cannot shy away from that. And so another area of influences to what we believe and what we don't believe is our family. The family is not bad, but the kind of belief you inherited from your family are very important. The third area where we get influenced on our belief is what I call the media. Oh, the media. Wow. One thing you'll observe is what you consistently hear on any social media or conventional media platforms over and over again, you will come to believe that that thing is true. That thing might not necessarily be true. Maybe someone just sponsored that particular suggestion or idea. And because you listen to it, you've heard it over and over again. And by the law of repetition, what you hear over and over tend to be settling within you. And after a while, it becomes a conviction. And once you are convinced about what you hear over and over again, you tend to believe that what you've been hearing is true. And then sometimes you also feel, could someone really sponsor a propaganda on a media platform? And the answer is yes. The answer is absolutely yes. So by the law of repetition, what you hear over and over, whether it is true or not, you will come to believe in that information as being true. The fourth area where we are being influenced tremendously is the environment. I tell you, the environment has tremendous influence on what you stand for, on what you don't stand for. There is a place you could live and your whole being will be different. If they pick you from that environment to another environment, you will be influenced to drop virtually everything you stood for while in the other environment. So the environment could be comprised of your friends, of your neighbors, of colleagues, of so many things around you. So your environment where you live has tremendous influence on your belief system. You cannot behave largely different from your environment. If you take a child that grew up in the suburbs, you cannot compare that child with another child that grows up in the city. The environment has shaped them one way or the other. A child that grew up in a family where there was peace and harmony cannot be compared with a child that came up with a family from a family that always fight and quarrel. So your environment has tremendous influence upon the things you have come to believe. So we've looked at areas where our beliefs have been influenced. One is our experiences. 2, family. 3, media. 4, environment. Then 5, similarly, society. The society where you live in. For example, those who live in Nigeria might be different in their thinking and beliefs from those who live in Belgium, or those who live in Ghana, or those who live in South Africa. So your society, your country, your community, by their doctrines, by their traditions, by their customs, by their norms, by what they say is right and wrong, that society will influence tremendously what you believe in. And then the 6th one is religion. Wow. I think one of the greatest impact on us is religion. You know, what they've told you about God, what they've told you about somebody else, by their doctrines, they told you day in, day out, month by month, year by year, have completely shaped your belief. You know, some people, whenever you come with a contrary view of what they believed in over the years, they tend to be violent, they tend to be very nasty, completely unreceptive. Because by their religion, they have trained them to be close-minded. They have said, whoever says something different from what we are telling you now is an enemy. You have to go away from him. You have to throw him away. And then the power of your reasoning, your capacity to reason as an intellectual being is completely wiped away. So what they tell you by way of doctrines related to marriage, doctrines related to God, doctrine related to somebody else, including your neighbor, including nature, shapes your life one way or the other. And then the final sphere of influence on our beliefs is nature. Wow. Nature to me is the best form of influence. Have you really sat down to see the sequence and the progress and the complete harmony in nature? Nature passes the best kind of information to us. So my advice would be sit down, relax, and learn tremendously from nature. Now, does it mean the other 6 are bad? No. So what should we do when these influences comes to us? Number 1 is test it. Don't just say yes. Test it first. Tell yourself, where will this information lead me to? If I follow this path, if I accept this doctrine, this information, this idea as being true, where will it land me? What kind of result will I get by following this path of information? Now, the other thing I would like to share with you this morning before we close is, how should you believe? Remember, the principles of belief simply says, it is done unto you according to your belief. So if you believe it to be true, so be it. If you believe it to be lies, so be it. But how should you believe? In my definition of belief, I said it has to affect your mental capacity as well as your emotions. And so the first way to believe is you must believe in one thing at the exclusion of the opposite. This is very crucial. When you believe in one thing, you must never believe in its opposite. For instance, if you believe in wealth, you cannot also believe in poverty. If you believe you are successful, you cannot also believe that you are a failure. You must believe in one thing, one concept, at the exclusion of the other. Now, why should you do that? Now, if you believe in failure and success, what will it do to your life is it will balance out and you remain where you are. So if you believe that you are successful, you must always guard against any information, idea, suggestion, or doctrine that tend to tell you that you are a failure. Because if you believe in success and failure, you will not make progress. They will cancel themselves out and you remain where you are. So the first principle of belief is believe in one idea at the exclusion of the other, the opposite idea. You know, I read a book one day and the author says you cannot believe in justice and then believe in injustice at the same time. I found that to be very disturbing initially, but when I looked at it, you know, justice means you get what you deserve. And by the law of cause and effect, like this law that we're dealing with, it is done unto you according to your belief. Now, if something happens, it means you believe it to happen. Now, if it happens, that means you deserve the thing to happen to you. So, should I now believe that you don't deserve it? What if the thing was good? What if you believe in something that is exclusively good? So you can't believe on opposite things at the same time, because the way our mind was constructed is the mind can only handle one aspect of truth at a time. Once you bring the opposite, it cancels itself out. Just like 1 minus 1 is equals to 0, success and failure is also equals to 0. Because when you succeed and you fail, they cancel themselves out immediately. Now, does it mean that while you are trying to achieve your goal, you will not make mistakes? No, you will make mistakes. But you don't believe that you are a failure. You don't believe that you are the one that is failing. You believe that maybe you didn't follow the processes as you're supposed to, but you don't believe you are a failure. So the first principle of how you should believe is believe in one thing at the exclusion of the opposite. The second principle that you help you in your belief and achieving results through your believing, let it touch your emotions. Some of us, our beliefs are so dry, it doesn't touch our emotions. For instance, if you are looking for a good job, let it feel the good job. Let it cause you to smile every time you remember the kind of job you are looking for. Don't just say, I need a job, and there's no emotional attachment to it. Let your belief affect your emotions. Let it rouse the passion within you. Let it move you emotionally. Let it move you. Let it jump you out of your seat. Let it strengthen your mind. Your belief must affect your emotions. Please don't believe something dryly. Don't believe it in a very callous way. Be enthusiastic about it. Be passionate about it. Whatever you are looking for in life, so believe it so much so that it stirs up the dormant emotions in you. Because emotions is like fire. It lights up everything within you. It makes you want to move. It makes you want to see it. It makes you so expectant. And by the law of expectations, whatever you really expect comes to you. So the second criteria of how you should believe is let it affect your emotion. Let it stimulate you. Let it move you. And the final one is let your belief, what you are believing for, drive you into action. No matter what you believe, if you don't take action, it is a useless belief. That belief will not take you anywhere. So let your belief drive your emotion, let your belief drive you into action. Take action about what you're believing. And the action has to be in agreement to what you believe in. For example, you can't say you want to get a job and you sit down at home. No, let it drive you to taking action. Let it drive you to asking people questions. How can I get this job? How can I get that job? How do I do this? How do I do that? Let your belief drive you into emotions. So belief must affect three things in your life. One, your mental ability, your desire. Two, it must affect your emotions. And three, it must affect your actions. I tell you, once you really believe that you're going to succeed, it shall be done unto you as you have believed. It is a law. It is a law. My advice again, my friend, is never believe in something that you don't want because it's a law. It will be done unto you also. So maybe you have failed and failed in your life. Things haven't really worked out according to what you have wanted it to believe. Maybe you didn't know that sometimes you believe you are a success, sometimes you find yourself drifting on the other side, asking yourself if you're a failure. But this morning, going forward, throughout your entire life, believe you can only succeed. Really believe until it stirs up your emotions. Continually believe until it moves you into action. That's when doors begins to open. I tell you, it has worked in my life in several spheres. And I can tell you it works all the time. It is done unto you according to your belief. And then number two is, whatsoever you see a man who really believes, everything is possible to that man. It's just a matter of time, I tell you. Everything is possible if you can really, really believe. It was a pleasure coming back to you today. I hope you've learned something new and something to inspire you into greatness today. Thank you so much for being there. We look forward to hearing from you. If you have any comment, please reach out to us on the numbers scrolling on your screen right now, 08034665348 or 07057668843. We'll be glad to show you how your belief could be used as a tremendous stepping stone to achieving your greatness. Until we come your way again next week we're going to look at the concept of mindset. And I'm going to come with a therapist, an expert in this field also, who will talk to us about the concept of mindset and how we could restructure our mindset to help us achieve our result. You don't have to fail in life. You have everything to succeed. Really believe that you are a success, and it will be done unto you as you have believed. Thank you so much for being there. I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week, same time. This is the Center for Character and Leadership Development, a platform that shows you how to achieve everything you want in life through the principles of love and truth. Thank you and have a very, very wonderful weekend.